for an abortion pill, which what this pill does is it is a hormonal pill. If you take it, then the fetus will it changes your hormones and it'll basically like deplant itself. It is very good for if you have miscarriages and the body has not realized it. Instead of feeding a dead clump of cells, you can then detach it and then take a secondary pill to expel it from your body. The secondary pill is much less likely to be taken off as it has other uses than just abortion. But we've had a case from Texas that said, yes, the FDA needs to remove this immediately. And then we had a case from, I believe it was Washington, that said, no, the FDA can't just instantly take off a drug. They would need to go through an entire process on how to get that off. And it kind of relies within the FDA's jurisdiction. Due to this dual ruling, it's essentially forcing this decision to go back up to the Supreme Court. Of course, they did rule against being able to have abortion. We will see if they also restrict access to, say, states that do allow for abortion, turning it back to the states, if that states' rights myth is something that they if they care to uphold. So anything that you wanted to say kind of on the abortion pills?
Where are you guys on that? Like, this is so interesting to me because, obviously this is new. There wasn't this didn't exist. We had morning after, but that was already like later. Like, this is a whole new thing. And the fact that this is being treated like surgical abortion is very interesting to me. So but have you guys always had this as an option? Like, since you guys have been of an age where you've known about the birds and the bees, like, have you always had this type of pill option?
I was not really aware of the mifepristone or whatever it's called, and the fact that like you can even do an abortion through a pill until I feel like I'd heard about it vaguely, but like until this whole debate started happening recently, I wasn't even aware that this is like a viable thing that people do. I mean, I know very little about the medical intricacies of the abortion pill, so I don't know.
No, I'm just interested because it's interesting to me that, I mean, not that people are trying to attack our rights. That's not interesting. That's been happening forever. Just that it almost seems like this is such a new thing. And even if it were available, I have this sort of thought that it's one of those things that's probably even hard to get if it's legal. And even if it is easy, like it's still going to be expensive. So that's what I was kind of just curious how this is being like marketed. Is this something that you guys are familiar with?
I have not looked into the specifics of various different like morning after pills. I'm not sure, which one does that, because that's not been a particular issue.
Yeah.
For me and my relationships. But what the big thing is like this is a so the big thing for me when it comes to talking about this case is that this is an attempt to get rid of the pill federally. This is an attempt of, if we are going off of the fake justification of let's bring it back to the states, then the states that allow it to exist should still be able to allow it to exist. I was listening actually to a 538 podcast earlier today that was talking about this issue and this circumstance. And I believe it was you had 67% of Americans were in favor of keeping the pill available. Which is, still that's a hefty majority. But again, if we're then breaking things down to should the state of California, which allows for abortions, should the state of New York that allows for abortions, and that the voters have said we want to have abortions, or even the state of Kansas that has said, despite being a Republican-led state, we want to keep the woman's right to choose. Should then a federal judge be able to come in and say, nope, you are no longer able to have access to this medication? for that reason. And that is, again, the main problem with doing things. It's like, if we vote for things as a collective, if we vote for things together, then the idea is, in a democracy, and I know republic, etc., but the idea is that if we're operating within a democracy, that we are able to actually have our voices heard and to have responses. And of course, there's going to be disagreements within people, but we're going to be represented in some way, and that is where the government derives its legitimacy. And again, this subversion is really where my biggest frustration is. If this was any other drug, if this was a weight loss drug, for example, I still would be against having this ban happen from the judiciary. I would, if the FDA allows for it, I would still want it to be allowed. If this drug was for, I don't know, diabetes, if this was just an autoimmune drug, any sort of medication, like I take Xeljan for my alopecia. It's like, to have any sort of medication just taken away, I think is a very, very dangerous precedent. But I don't think it's even something that would continue to be a precedent. I think it is, again, being attacked because it's a pill that's being used for abortions and miscarriages. And I think that is wrong. And we'll have, the pro-choice, feelings toward abortion in another podcast episode as well. But that is the main thing. So,
what's interesting, and I remember this case. I don't remember the name of the case, but it was in Massachusetts, and this took place. Oh my God, it was like not that long after I was out of law school, and basically the lawsuit was by women in Massachusetts against Walmart, because Walmart pharmacies were refusing to carry the morning after pill. The Plan B was, I think that's what it was at the time, was called Plan B.
Mm-hmm.
And the court actually ruled against Walmart, and it was a really nice win at that time. And I remember being very pleasantly surprised.
Back when courts would do that, yeah.
That Walmart was forced, because here was the rub, CJ, and this is an interesting tactic that people have used. When you're the only game in town, which is what happens with Walmart, they'll move in somewhere, get rid of all the locals. There'll be no more small pharmacy. All there'll be is a Walmart. And so if you're putting yourself out there as a public service in the capacity of pharmaceuticals or something that's in that realm, then you really are not, and this was the court's ruling, then you do not get to pick and choose what you carry. If it's a legal product, you get to carry it. You have to have it available. And I thought that was really interesting, but that really goes to show you how things have changed in even just the past, I want to say 20 years.
Sure.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.